right now?
10:06.
10:06. We'll have the roll call.
Okay. Bob, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. No, Beth, I'm here. Julie,
Here.
Barbara,
Here.
Carol,
Here.
and we know Joyce is not here, and Carol and Don are not here. And Lisa.
I am here under the alias of Chloe Cantor.
Okay, roll call's done. Now we need to approve minutes.
Approve the minutes of the,
Everybody read the minutes.
have you read the minutes?
I have some changes. You're lucky. On page 1, where it says Chloe reviewed January 2021 accounting activities, it should say February. And Carol, I do apologize. On page 2, under adjournment, I called you Carol Morrissey instead of Carol Morissette. And so that's a change.
That's okay.
I actually used to work with some Morrisseys, so I think that
You were close.
And that's the only changes I have. Now you need a motion. Just a minute.
I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve of the minutes. That's Barbara.
As amended?
Yes.
As
Okay.
amended. I'm sorry. As amended.
Okay.
Doing 20 things at once.
Do you have a second?
I second.
That was Julie.
Yep.
The discussion.
Is there any discussion on it?
No.
All in favor?
Say your name. and-
Say your name and
Carol Morissette. Aye.
Julie, I.
Barbara, aye.
Will I?
bye-bye.
Okay, motion passes. Okay. Next.
This next is what? Report from the Director of the Services.
Yeah,
Lisa, you're on.
Good morning. For those who don't have a camera, my name is Lisa Petralia. I'm serving as interim director for the Council on Aging in Chloe's absence. I believe my first day was April the 22nd or 23rd. You did not have a meeting in April for the reason of Chloe's absence. There was no newsletter because of Chloe's absence. I'm happy to say we're having this meeting, and we got our box of newsletters delivered last night. So there is a June newsletter that will get stuffed and mailed. So we're trying to get back onto track, and just in time for the new bell ringing that the economy is opening up as of May the 29th. So, with that said, I'm going to share my screen so you can look at the March and April financials. We have 2 months because there was no meeting in April. And I'm only going to share my screen because I've annotated the cells in case you have questions about what the dollar amounts are due to, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so can you folks see this spreadsheet that's up for the month of March?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're
All right.
testing your eyesight.
Oh, do you want me to make it bigger for you? I mean, make it bigger. Hold on a second.
I don't know if you can.
Let's see. Oh, wrong thing. Let's see what I just did. March. Let's get rid of.
Yeah, I think you're limited on this program, how big you can make it.
Getting bigger?
I can
That's
I can
good. That's
see it.
good.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so
For me.
this is March. I realize in the non-printed version, you don't see the header that says March, but There's always two cells in the format that the advisory board likes the information presented. It's here in G as in George and in J, okay? And so the format should look familiar. This clearly on the right shows you change in some of our tracking metrics from the prior month. The body here in these columns, A through F, is just the month of March expenditures, any sort of income in the form of donations. It's organized by wages, and then income or expenses to the various town accounts and donation accounts, and any formula grant expenditures that we're posting to, okay? So clearly, no surprise to you folks, the clerk's position has sat empty for this fiscal year. No change there. These are the transportation wages. Shuttle rides clearly are at a much lower pace without a lunch program and the center being closed. We do take part of the position that's half activities and half nutrition. Half the wages come against the senior lunch program, so this would be March's wages for that half position. And this is outreach wages, and this is income. And here, this $2,200 and almost $75 is largely made up of the Western Mass Elder Care Title III grant disbursement for the second fiscal year. We got the check somewhere in April. So that was basically $2,000 was the fiscal year allotment from that grant. And there was a small carryover of unused grant monies from the prior fiscal year. It's a 2-year award. Okay, so that's what that is. And then when we go down into town accounts, this is basically some maintenance on the one shuttle that we're largely using the non-handicap van. And down here in general gifts, this is where we bought some iPad cases for the iPad mini grant program that came through Western Mass Elder Care. We had $100 of donations as indicated as general gift, 191 in donations for the food pantry fund. And this outlay of $400 was largely a continuation of what was going on here during the worst of the lockdown for seniors who clearly weren't comfortable, I guess, grocery shopping. And Chloe had a routine practice of calling people and sometimes 2-3 times a week taking requests and going shopping and delivering it. We're largely winding that up, seeing as many of the people who were making use of this can drive, they're vaccinated, and things are moving towards getting back to some degree of normalcy. That said, if they still call and say, I just am frightened to go, we will happily accord them. But we were doing some very interesting shopping requests during that tenure. And then this would be the other half of the staff half nutrition. So those would be wages there. And down here in printing, this $1,000 and almost $86 covered our RICO lease in the copy room, printed envelopes with return address for mostly our newsletter mailing and newsletter postage. Okay. Are there any questions about these entries for the accounts?
Sorry,
Excuse me.
could you repeat what was under the activity for expenses? Somebody had some background noise. I couldn't quite hear you. The 490.59 under activity.
Oh, this is wages. This is wages.
Oh, okay.
For they go against the formula grant, for the activity area. So we have. I don't think Chloe made the announcement at her last meeting, which would have been in March. But on March the 3rd, Chloe hired Alexandra, and Alex is on our staff to be part-time for nutrition or the senior lunch program, and part-time, the other half of her 30 hours a week, to be activities. Okay, clearly, it's been a challenging break into a job when you can have very little nutrition or activity program for the client population you want to serve. So we're hoping that, and we'll talk about it briefly before we wrap up, that by July, we're starting to phase in some activities outdoors. We'd already committed to that and published it before Governor Baker said, all bets are off, we're going to go back to normal immediately. That being said, I can tell you, it made me wince a little bit, but seeing seasoned Council on Aging directors from around Western Mass through the forum, they were all stunned the next morning, and they're all doing, I think, what my hunch was. I communicated that to the town manager and the Board of Health, that I'd like to go cautiously. I want to stick to June as we've envisioned it, and to give us time to organize for how we really scale up for July, because there's a lack of guidance for senior centers other than whether you quote host vulnerable population. I think the senior center definitely qualifies as a host of vulnerable population. So in this interim, I don't want to be reckless with people's well-being. I know people are cooped up, so we have to balance getting people engaged and socializing, but doing it responsibly. We've been careful up for the past 15 months. We don't need to blow it now. Okay, and then, yes.
Oh, sorry, Lisa, so the 490, how come that's not up on the top under wages?
Because it posts out of formula grant monies that we can use for activity. So
Okay.
up here, you don't see a category for under wages for activities. We just have the part-time clerk, the drivers for the shuttle van, the nutrition and AKA lunch program, and our outreach worker. Okay, the way they've organized covering wages for activity is to pull and exhaust from formula grant.
I see. Okay. That makes sense.
I guess, but that's how it's structured. And the goal would be to exhaust formula grant monies so that at the end of the state fiscal year, we're not looking like we left money on the table, because that would send the signal that perhaps they would dial back our apportionment through the formula grant based on prior usage. So these accounts get drawn down first before we would go and lean on an applicable other account. Now, I don't know if that means wages as well, because I wouldn't, that's a question for Chris Martin. Where would you take it from? It's not outreach. We have a very strict budget for outreach and a little bit of Title III grant money for it. It could come here, but this is a hard number to read. These budgets remaining, and I can tell you, when you see April, we still have a lot of money remaining because the center was largely shuttered since a year ago spring. So we're not delivering services. We're not going to use our budget, and sadly, town budget reverts to the general fund at the close of the fiscal year. We don't get to carry it over. We get to carry over Title III grant money and not formula grants. And we get to keep donations into the senior center's account. So there's a method to going against the formula grant first, but we got a lot of budget remaining. This was as of end of March. You'll see for the next worksheet for April, there's still a lot, even though the numbers are a little bit lower than this column F. And I can tell you sitting here today, because I was just looking at it a few days ago, thinking, you know, what can we do for the sprint to the end of the fiscal year? I'm going to get some equipment installed, but, you know, it's just the reality. We weren't open. We're a provider center. There's going to be money reverting to the general fund for the town to use in the next cycle elsewhere, anywhere. Some of it could come back to us, but it can go anywhere in the town.
Okay, just, I never noticed it before, but under formula grant, there's no number in the starting balance.
Yes, and that is historically that way, I think, because Chris Martin keeps the allocation for these. I don't find it very useful as is. So I can make a note to try and get a little bit more transparency. Because I went back to prior financials and it's always had no starting balance. So it's always run a negative in column C and column F.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Are you going on to the activities now on that for March?
We can. Would you like to discuss those?
Did anybody else have any other questions on the financial part before I delve into this other one?
No.
Okay,
No.
okay. Under pantry, under 65, you have -2, and a couple you have a,
Yes. So this is compared to the prior month. So the fact that pantry under 65 had no people come in under 65 so we had 0 people come in, so they took 0 bags. So that's 2 fewer people came in and 4 fewer bags than in February. See, this is
Okay.
changed in column I and in column L. And so this is important to know. I mean, I don't know why people under 65 in March didn't come in. I was on a townwide food security call 3 weeks ago, and I kept hearing about how there's a great need in Granby, and it's not necessarily with the seniors for food security. And so one of the things I'm concerned about is the extent to which our pantry is or isn't being used and by whom, okay?
mhm.
And how might we promote it? How might we think about changes? Because we got a lot of dry goods, groceries in there that are sitting and sitting. And at this point, it's got to be purged. The food pantry in Chicopee will take things that are slightly expired. Otherwise, we'd have to toss it. And so the question is, what's the point of collecting donations if we're not going to have a client base, whether they're under 65 or over, who are going to make use of the amount of food that we are stockpiling?
That's right.
Okay.
Interesting.
Um,
Yes.
so anything else, Lil?
And
That's what the minus means. Compared to
Okay.
the prior month, the metric is lower than it was in February.
okay. And the phone calls have gone way down.
And here's why.
Yeah.
Can you see the message? So in February, they were actively calling, not homebound people, but actively calling for vaccine appointments and things like that.
Calling people to see if they would wanted the appointments.
Needed help getting appointments. Are they vaccinated? Getting them information about, say, the Amherst Board of Health coming into the area. So there was a tremendous amount of calling in February under this category called phone calls. And in March, there were only 26 phone calls in the log that I saw when I came in the 3rd week of April. Okay.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good drop because you don't, I can assume those people might have gotten appointments or got vaccinated.
It's like a telephone campaign that was done in February around vaccine availability, helping people make appointments, because for many in the senior population, even if you have a computer, sometimes navigating the logic of how to get into the appointment queue was very frustrating. You had to be up at either 12:30 at night or 4 in the morning when CVS would refresh their appointment queue.
I did that one.
Yeah, me too. So, so medical equipment, 6 pieces sent out, but lower than the month before. I don't know, was March a healthier month? In the time I've been here, we've been seeing a lot of medical equipment go out. So there is a need for durable medical equipment. Outreach and Shine appointments, there were 14 contacts and meetings that month. That was 4 lower than the month before, but it is as people contact us and we hear in speaking with them they have a need, or they specifically know they need a better drug plan, or someone's just turning 65 and want to get some counseling from Diane Morgan. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So if you're okay with March, I'll go on to April. It's identical format.
Sounds good.
All right, so again, now these numbers are a little bit lower than these values for the month before, but again, clerk wages, nothing touched in that budget. The driver, our part-time driver, this would be half of our combined nutrition and activity staff person's wages. This is the half that posts to the nutrition and lunch program category. This would be our outreach worker shine appointment wages. Okay. I have no expenses hitting in April for the town accounts. And then for donations, we had some activity. We had 50 to the senior fuel fund, general gift fund, the food pantry fund, and we had an Easter bag reimbursement from the Friends of Granby Elderly that goes under sort of holiday entry. I know that says Thanksgiving basket fund, but we put it there. Okay.
Okay.
And then the things that post against our formula grant allocations. The RICO lease, the only entry for April, and then the wages, the other half of wages for our staff who splits between activity and nutrition. And here's the metrics we track and how they've changed from the prior month. So bread went down by 12. Part of this is what's delivered to people who are homebound and who is taking. And it's hard for us to monitor the table out there because it's there all day Tuesday. But Dawn, who does our bread pickup and does bread delivery to people, knows what has come in the box and knows what's gone afterwards. So,
Yes. Good thing.
I'm sorry that these I didn't do the change on. The food pantry for elders, there were 7 visits and there were a total of 9 bags taken. So many take 1 bag, but you're allowed to take 2 bags within the month. For under 65, there was 1 person came and took 2 bags. The brown bag was 29 brown bags were consumed. That's a combination of delivery and people who are able to come and pick them up. There were an excess of 3 left over, so they went into the food pantry because they're non-perishable. In the month of April, there was grocery delivery predominantly by Alexandra, because Chloe wasn't here now in April, to 19 people. And clearly the month before there were 30 who received. Transportation rides, those have to be booked in advance, 5 days. Sometimes it's just a day or 2, but medical was 6 in the month, down from 14 the month before. And that's a function of how people are booking appointments, whether they feel safe to get their appointments or just based on their need. And then miscellaneous for shopping. So again, a little bit lower than the month before. Shine appointments and outreach were up by 7 appointments for the month of April. Medical equipment in April was 3 people borrowing equipment. Wellness calls are down just a little bit from March, which I think, on the heels of vaccination month and checking in on people, it's still high, but dialed back a little lower than 186 in March. Okay. And then no outward phone campaigns other than the wellness calls in April. Okay. That's the activity here for March and April. Any
Anybody have
questions?
any questions?
No, I don't.
No.
Hearing none?
Thank you for your attention.
We don't vote on anything. Now, new business. Where's your agenda? Carol, you have traffic.
We always have traffic.
Can you mute your phone until you have to respond? That way,
Can you hear me?
Well, we can hear you, but we can also hear the traffic behind you.
You know what? I'll close the window.
okay. Now you're doing new business. So that's Lisa.
Next is the new business.
That's Lisa, you want to discuss the food pantry use?
Yeah, and I also wanted to discuss a little bit about how we scale up and let you know what we're at least doing for the immediate of June. And that includes whether our next meeting should be in person, if people will feel comfortable doing that. So with food pantry, my concern is we can start looking at tracking maybe for the past, I don't know, 10 or 12 months. It's not been a typical year, but I would have thought food pantry use would have gone up in a time like this. And I just don't see a lot of the inventory going out. So I would expect higher use. And I don't know if there's something we should be doing to promote it better. It is by application, and I know there's guidelines on who qualifies. You know, it's not out of the question that you can be under 65 and take advantage of it, but I don't know how many of the people in town who are under 65, maybe they're, you know, heads of household with 2 kids home and not having had, you know, the benefit of school lunches, put a lot of people some sort of new realities about being able to provide with the budget they're on. So it's not a quick fix, but I know maybe it means looking at the thresholds we set for eligibility, but it's hard to see the shelves get fuller and fuller and stuff get expired and a program not being made use of. And we have to ask why. And I think it needs a little work looking at the numbers. I can go back monthly and then maybe for the next meeting have some recommendations about what I think I'm seeing and what perhaps we could do. Now, whether we could do it in reality is another issue about changing, say, eligibility requirements for, say, under 65 households. So that's my concern.
Lisa, is are the rules for the applications and the guidelines, is that set by you, by the state, by?
You know, I don't know. I think it's somewhat by the state. I'll have to find out how that process was put in place and what the guidelines are for proposing changes to it. Because there's income thresholds, and I know there are a few people in town who are elderly. I know them personally. They decided not to go through with the application because they felt it was invasive. Now, you know, there's many types of applications in life we're asked to put down our income. That's a pretty basic one, but if someone has issues about providing them, then providing that information, then I guess that's a non-starter for them. But I can't see how to work around that. But there are things about income levels and where you set the thresholds.
Is there, do you have to put down, I haven't seen the applications, so do you have to put a specific amount, or could you give them, here's a range to pick from? Are you in one of these ranges?
It's not a range right now, so that might help. You know, maybe they, you know, if we had a disclaimer that said this is for just within our agency use, it will not be shared with the state or the IRS type of thing. I don't know if that would help. So
That
I'm not-
probably wouldn't hurt.
yeah, so
Was there more people coming before the pandemic?
Yeah, there were. So I don't know if it's some hesitation too, that even though we're by appointment, the door is locked, they call and say, can I come for food pantry tomorrow? We say, yes, we're here from 9 to 3. They come in with masks. Our staff have been masked. And it's just one-on-one, but I don't know to what extent people hearing that the senior center is closed means
Closed, right.
not paying attention. The fact that they, by appointment, they could see our outreach coordinator, they can come to food pantry. We threw food out from the freezer.
Wow, that's not good.
No, it's not. It's wasteful.
So do some of these people that were coming before, did they use the senior center transportation? Or did they come on their own?
Well, many now come on their own, but we have had people get off before dawn returns them to their home. We have had, in the short time I've been here, Dawn will stop them by here. They're part of the pantry program and they can get a bag of groceries. So,
Do they have to call or do they just stop?
if we're here and Dawn's got them and says, can I stop by for some pantry use? We say, certainly, that's fine. As long as they're masked, we're fine with it.
Okay. Maybe we ought to put that out. Maybe people don't know that. That they don't need an appointment.
Well, we can't take it off the door yet. That's a town manager.
Yeah,
and-
right.
Okay, so it's a given that this last, 15 months, there's a lot of reasons things haven't functioned normally and metrics are down in service, this is a point of service center, right?
Right.
And where all the numbers go down, you don't use your budgets as you might under a normal year of providing senior services at the center. So I'd like to see when we have a few months of quote returning to normal, whether the shelves still just keep accumulating shelf stable groceries or they start to be taken. So, someone gave me the recommendation that, people, particularly elders don't necessarily want to get dry goods that they have to assemble into a meal. For instance, we have a lot of dried beans and legumes, things like that, lentils.
Okay.
And I said, well, what are you suggesting? And she said, well, fresh produce. I said, well, that's kind of limited. I mean, that's summer. We might get that with through the food bank, maybe hopefully starting in July when they're going to allow us to assemble the bags instead of everything coming as pre-boxed, and that'll happen through June. And then in July, we're going to try and go back to the way it had been done. And maybe then they'll have produce from area farms. But I mean, there are people when they come to use the pantry have no problem taking, tuna fish, prepared, Italian sauce. Some people do take legumes. I mean, I'm just here a short time, so
Right.
not necessarily a match between what you get donated to your food pantry and what your clients want.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do a little digging into that because I don't want stuff expiring and being wasted. And we'll have to make some decisions about maybe either the rate at which we accept certain types of donations, as long as we can find a use for them. But if people come who are currently enrolled in the pantry and say, oh, I looked, I don't like most of what you have, well, that's not good either, right?
Right. What about when you get eggs, or because in the letter it's usually saying you need eggs or butter or something. Does that
So-
go bad before somebody takes it?
So I will say about a month ago, 2 Granby residents who keep chickens for eggs, they
Yeah.
had more eggs than they could move along, and they were fresh. And so we had 6 or 7 dozen in the refrigerator. We have 1 dozen left, which are probably going to have to be tossed. But we pushed whenever people came by with the shuttle, or when people came in for a Shine appointment, or they came in for food, whenever they come in for food pantry, we tell them, here's what we have in the fridge. We have butter, we have fresh eggs, farm fresh eggs, and in the freezer, we have some new recently stocked cuts of meat. And they'll say, well, I don't need eggs, but what do you have for meat? So, so we do try to notify people. It's rare that we get eggs. They just happen to come in all within 1 week from 2 different egg farmers locally.
Right, right.
Okay.
Lisa,
Yes.
you may want to stop sharing your screen.
I beg your pardon?
You may want to stop sharing your
Oh,
screen.
thank you. I'm still sharing. I'll shut it off.
There we are. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Is there anything else?
No, she's still going.
No, so I'm done on the food pantry sort of issue that I wanted to raise, and we'll start taking a look at that. I just want to give you briefly an idea of where we're headed for June. So, Governor Baker just 2 days ago announced that May the 29th, the economy is fully open. And then on June the 15th, he will release the state of emergency, public health emergency for Massachusetts. And in all of that, he says we can all take our masks off on the 29th if we're vaccinated. You don't have to, and you can still socially distance, but he wants vaccinated people to keep their masks on and stay 6 feet apart. Well, you can just imagine how unwieldy it is going to be to manage getting that information from people, truthful information from people, and then making sure you can keep track in a crowd or even a small group, whether they're here in our parking lot. Oh, the unvaccinated person has their mask off. So we're going to start this course for June. We have a couple of outdoor activities scheduled in the newsletter. It's pre-registered. We strongly encourage that vaccinated people participate. We strongly encourage people who aren't vaccinated to still think about getting vaccinated. We've given them some resources to point them into no appointment walk-in clinics. So there will be no meals here in June. There will be activities scaling up. We will have a foot care clinic in the center in the nice big room on appointment only. The foot care nurse will want to stay masked and with a face shield. We're trying to get the essential services gradually running. I think somewhere in July, we'll be ready to broach some type of lunch program. And if it's not 5 days a week, maybe it'll be 3. And will it be initially out under the tents? Very possibly, if we're not going to have a patch of bad weather. It's going to be, that would be tricky to plan for because we have to give Western Mass Elder Care lead time. But we have to get a number of things in place before we can start having congregate meals, okay? Our Board of Health will just need to be clued in and sign off of what we feel we are proposing to do to keep people safe during meals, especially if we're going to be a mix of vaccinated and unvaccinated people. We can't eat with a mask on. So maybe that's the carrot, that if you want to come and be social and have lunch, you got to be vaccinated. And I've asked the town manager and the Board of Health to start thinking about speaking to the town's legal counsel on whether we can make that statement. I don't want to commingle people. I think we're headed towards being out of the woods, but I don't know how viruses think and variants think. So I want to be careful with the population. Okay. So
I mean, a few weeks ago, they said it could be another 6 months with masks, and then 5 days later, they're saying you don't need a mask.
I know it's very
And
confusing.
then how do you know whoever you're around has had their 2 shots or 1 shot?
Well, I'll tell you, last Friday, we did a fitness class under the tents, and on the sign-in, I made a decision that I wanted to know. And I knew from the instructor, she called all 13 participants. She told me they were all vaccinated. I asked them again, are you vaccinated fully or partially? And they're all fully. Now, once I get approval from the town that I can ask people to bring their vaccine cards and keep them on file, I will certainly do that, because I don't want to, on my watch, have people who've been vaccinated who are elderly at an event in the parking lot or in the lunchroom with someone who's not vaccinated and not wearing a mask. It's just doesn't make sense to me.
Right. No, that's right.
Okay.
To me, it's
So-
going to be hard, and everybody's reopening, and you don't need a mask and all this. I mean, it's crazy.
There's no harm in being careful, okay, as individuals. I know there's plenty of people who can't wait to tear the mask off. I just need to know, as an agency, as a department of the town, what we can require of people on public property before.
Yeah.
But my goal is to keep people secure and safe.
Lisa, what June activities do you have coming out?
So it's in the newsletter. We're mailing it next week, but it's also available on the town's website under Council on Aging. But we have there'll be 2 classes a week starting June the 10th, Mondays and Thursdays, of Healthy Bones and Balance. And then on Mondays after Healthy Bones and Balance, we're going to have Easy Country Fitness starting on the 10th. Excuse me, on the 14th. Is that right? Yeah, and then if there's rain on the Monday, Easy Country Fitness will use the same time slot they would have on the Monday to do that class, because people very much want classes. So those are the 2 activities to start. And then we have the foot care nurse on the 21st from 9 to 2 in the lunchroom. It's by appointment only. And then maybe in July, I'd like to get the high blood pressure clinic going. I'd like that one day that month, and I'd like to see if I could get maybe a Tai Chi instructor for sometime in July to start, and maybe some bingo. But I also have to get lunches going somehow. So we got a lot to tackle in the month of June to figure it out and publicize for July. And there's a concert. Friends of Granby Elderly have a concert slated for music in the park at the pavilion, and that's also publicized in June. It is
June 9th, I think.
It's June 15th with Old Country Music, Old Country Road, from 6 to
I was
7.
wondering whether they were going to start that up again.
She's booked, Gloria Vivier has booked the whole summer. So we have a June date, a July date, and an August date, weather permitting.
Yeah. Do you know who the bands are going to be for the 3 concerts?
Yep, June 15th is Old Country Road, July 20th is Dan Kane Singers, and August 17th is Johnny and the Flashbacks.
Okay.
But I will publish those in each of the upcoming newsletters. So the June event is in the June newsletter, okay? With plenty of lead time. Last thing I would like to talk about is whether you're going to all be comfortable to try and do this next month's meeting at the safety complex. And you can wear a mask. I probably will, but
Well, if we can wear masks, I'll be there.
okay.
It's a small room, so, and we
Are we
used
going to
to,
have that same room that we were meeting in?
that's the only room that's available.
Oh,
There.
okay.
Does it have
Um,
windows that open?
No,
Maybe we could put the chairs against the wall to give us more space.
Maybe we could keep the door open as well, as long as we don't hear confidential things going on in the police department.
yeah, you might have a problem with that, and,
All right, I want to give that some thought. I don't want people in a small room without open windows. I mean,
they
maybe,
want to look at that.
all right.
What about,
Yeah, our timer last before, when we used the room, was 9:15. I don't know if it's available at 10. They may already have it booked.
Well, the time was changed for Carol and Dawn, and if they're not going to turn up, I don't know if people would rather have a 9 o'clock meeting. We could go back to that.
doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't
I
matter to
like
me.
I like the 9 better.
You like 9 better, Carol? Okay.
9 is great.
All
You
right.
like 9, Bob?
Yes,
I like, yeah, 9's fine.
I thought Chloe had changed it from 9 to 10 because she didn't have enough time to get everything together on when she got in. I don't know what time she got in, so Chloe's the one
How
that
is,
changed.
how is she doing, Chloe?
She's the one who came in, she was often in at 8:30. I had heard that she changed it because Carol and Dawn went to mass in the morning across at Immaculate Heart of Mary, and that's an 8:30 mass, and they couldn't do a 9 o'clock meeting. So she moved it to 10 for March, and they didn't show up. So,
Well,
Is
maybe,
Chloe, is Chloe going to be gone for the summer?
we don't know. She's in rehab. I think she's got 3 more weeks before she may be able to go to her own home, and then she has more healing to do. So she will not be here for June.
Wow. Did she have a car accident?
No, she didn't have a car accident.
Okay.
She's ill. She's getting over bad illness. It's not
Wow.
COVID.
Okay, that's good.
Anyway, so what do you want to do?
I have another thought. I don't know if we could do an outdoor meeting. Bring a lawn chair. That's one thing we discussed for like our bank meetings is doing an outdoor meeting. So I thought maybe possibly we could do that
We're at the senior center?
anywhere really. I don't know if it's an option or not.
Well, if it was raining, we could maybe meet at the pavilion at Dufresne. I don't know.
how about the in the big room at the senior center? Is
So
that,
I have to tell you that Western Mass, the board for Western Mass Elder Care called here, Philip Dinette. He called here 2 weeks ago. He was looking for a meeting space for June the 8th for 12 people to sit around a large table and go through the letters of intent for the next round of Title III grant proposal invitations. They couldn't get a space. I took his name and number. I put the request to our town manager, and he said no. I said, well, I think you just shot us in the foot for getting a grant the next round because we were one of the letters of intent.
Yeah.
So I don't know how he'll feel about, but I
Well,
mean, the governor said something, but I don't know. how
Yeah,
it's
but
gonna move.
if
I-
they're reopening, he shouldn't have a problem.
I can inquire.
yeah,
and I'll
and
get
it
back
could be Chris, it could be he might have just said that because it wasn't a town thing. You know, a town committee or a town board or
Alright.
what have you.
All right, let me inquire with him whether we can have our next advisory board meeting on the 16th of June in the lunchroom. We have windows that open. If it's raining, we don't have a problem. How about 9 or 10?
9?
Well, 9 seems to work better. I'll call Carol and see if they'll answer this time and see if they had a problem with 9 or
All right.
10.
Let's say we're going to go back to 9, and if they have a problem with 9 and 10 works, ask them if they're actually going to participate. I know Carol from Immaculate Heart of Mary from a long time
Right.
ago. So if they're not really interested in participating, then we can do 9.
Okay. And if they aren't, then maybe, maybe we need to, look at, do they want to stay on the board then?
Exactly, and we already have Beth's spot to fill, right?
Right. The others don't know that. Beth Isabel turned in her resignation because with everything going on with the bank and everything, she was not able to attend the meeting. So we now have another open spot.
Okay,
And
have they done anything with Ann? Because the last time I talked to her, she hadn't received anything yet.
right. And I was late getting that to Lisa. Lisa, I know you passed that along to Kathy Leonard, the select board has to approve it.
That's right.
Meetings. So, and that was just recently. So I don't know if they met Monday. Did you hear anything on that?
I did not, but I can find out from Kathy.
I can
They
call
may-
Ann today and see if she's heard anything.
Well, she won't hear anything until the select board
No,
make a
she-
decision.
Oh, okay, okay. And I have to renew mine. I'm
Oh,
up in June.
Yeah, Lisa, I think you keep track of that, or Chloe did, whose terms were ending when?
All right, I'll take a look and see what I can find out.
Okay, if you can't.
Do I
I'll
have
look-
to call, do I have to call Kathy Leonard?
No, what happens is
No.
we talk about that at the board meeting, and you say whether or not you want to continue, and then vote on whether, recommending you stay on, and then you pass along up the chain to the select board.
Okay. So when do we do that? At the next meeting?
Yes,
Okay,
because I have a feeling there'll be more than just you that's, their term is up. And there isn't a limit as to how many terms you can do.
okay. Well, this is my first one, so,
Oh, well, you got plenty of time.
It's unlimited.
I didn't know there was a limit.
I didn't know there
law.
was either.
It was at one point, but I was on the committee back a few years ago, and we changed it in the bylaws that you can continually keep going as long as you get reapproved. You have to go like this here. Okay, your time is up. You have to say, I want to be back on, and you get that whole group to bring you in and say yes. So we put your name in to the select board. That's what it was. I was on that committee
Right,
years
yeah.
ago.
So is that still
Okay.
in effect?
Yes,
Okay,
I'm looking at the bylaws from 2015. Last time we did something.
Hmm.
Okay, anyway, Lisa, you're gonna check on the terms.
I will,
Um,
and I'll check on the use of the lunchroom for the 16th of June and get back to you as soon as I have an answer.
Call Carol Dabrowski and see if they wanna, if 9 o'clock is fine with them.
Yeah.
And let you know that.
If not, can you split the difference and do it 9:30? I mean, I
Sure.
don't want to lose any more people.
Right.
Yeah,
is Barbara still on with us?
Yeah.
Barbara, are you
Barbara
still
had to
on?
call in.
Yes. Why? Didn't you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes.
So are you
Yeah,
good with
Okay.
9?
Did you hear what I asked? I was just
Yes.
wondering if we could split the difference and do 9:30 so we don't lose any more people.
No, that's an excellent point.
Yes, I think it's a
I mean-
good point.
If Carol and Don are still interested. I can't believe that they're not, but I don't know what their life has been like.
Okay.
9:30 is fine too, whatever.
Okay. Lisa, I have a question on Alex. So I saw on Facebook that there's a nutrition job opening for nutrition, whatever they're calling it these days.
On Facebook?
Yes, I think the police was under their website.
I'm sorry, I had to step away. I'll have to speak to Kathy Leonard about that. I don't know, wasn't aware that there was something actively open. So, but
Oh, okay. So is that, it's something you'll have to check into, seeing as we're recording, we don't want to get into too many personnel issues here. I just was kind of curious on that. I can send you the link
okay,
and you can see it. I was pretty sure it was somebody at the police department posted it. I think it's, I forget where it is, but. Okay.
that's a very interesting mechanism that the police department posts job openings.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. And I don't know where they got it. So,
I mean, you might as well set it to the custodian of the cemetery.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, that's gonna take too long. So, yeah, I'll find it and send it.
Anything else?
Yeah, ask him, have anything else?
Anything else, Lisa?
No, I'm all set, folks. Nice to meet you by face and by voice, for those of you who called.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I'll have
Okay,
to
the
figure
next-
this out for the next time. Well, if we meet outside, we don't have to.
The next board meeting will be June 16th.
Right now, it's at,
Which time, it's either 9:30 or 10.
we'll figure that out.
If it's could be
Send us,
indoors,
send us an email.
Where, when, and what?
Yes.
Lisa, something to keep in mind for the location of this, all the town meetings, town committee and board meetings are recorded. So if we're gonna be outside, you're not gonna hear anything because all you're gonna hear is traffic.
Got it.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, the way it is with the recording of the Healthy Bones there when that's posted on GCAM, it's all you can hear is traffic. You can't hear anything else.
Yeah.
Something to keep in mind. It'll be recorded, so we need to be somewhere where we can record it.
Sounds like the lunchroom, if we can get permission.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn today's
I'll
I'll
meeting.
second it. I'll second it. It's Barbara.
Okay, Barb, okay. It's 11:03.
Thank you all.
All those in favor?
Name,
Aye. Oh,
Julie, I.
okay.
Barbara, I.
Carol, I.
Okay. Lil, I.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All meetings over.